Hi. Before going to video, please subscribe to my channel for more interesting stuff. And the question is,
people who work for social media companies that reviews the community reports. What report that you reviewed that you will never forget about? There is a dude posting child porn on Instagram. It's been up for a week and hasn't been taken down and has like 18k comments on it. I don't understand how the algorithms haven't kicked in and taken his posts down, or someone hasn't manually flagged his profile for removal. Thousands of people have reported him at this point. If you see this dude pop up again, use this link to report his account, assuming both yourself and him are based in the US. It'll report it to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I've used it myself in the past on a guy posting porn of underage teenage girls on Tumblr, and it got dealt with. Hope this helps. Edit. Thanks for the awards, D. Edit 2. Forgot to mention, it doesn't even have to be photos or videos in order to make a report. It can also be things like text posts in which a user describes acts of abuse they've committed/plan on committing, or even inappropriate material, dick pics, dirty messages, etc., sent to minors. Even if it sounds like bullshit and/or fantasy, report it anyways. In a past era, I had a job that involved moderating social phone lines, ranging from party lines, not explicit, to date phone lines. Not sure if these are still advertised on late-night TV. It was the original meet singles in your area for amateur sex chat. At least twice per month, a child would go missing after meeting someone on the line, and we would fax over transcripts and known phone numbers. We had a 2-minute lull between new content and content being screened, so generally predators would wait for a child to dial in, say something sweet, give them a burner phone number, and that was that. I had to tell a grandma what our service was, who called after checking her phone records when her 12-year-old granddaughter went missing. She was from the rural South and had gotten a VM from the kid in a train/bus station in San Francisco. This ancient lady was vibrating with worry, and it broke me to go through the explanations with her. People, guys, generally, exploited the phone tree to reach moderators or credit card checkers to jerk off to us, constantly. I had a guy who told me he was abusing a child there and that we couldn't do anything, and you could hear this piercing panic screaming. I still don't know if it was a recording, I hope, or not, but the first time I heard it, I foolishly signaled my horror. For a period after that, he would get through and hang up on each other employee until he got me again. People would try to buy and sell other adults, offer to sell or babies/toddlers for meager amounts of money. I saw accounts of people who spent tens of thousands of dollars that they didn't have, accounts of PPL asking to be banned and then pleading to have the ban lifted, which it always was. High spenders would do egregious things, including looking for underage callers, and managers would erase their permanent bans. People were sometimes violently mugged meeting people through our line, especially gay men. There were many very young children home alone for very long times, the vocal equivalent of a 1,000-year stare. A 3-year-old boy asked me when his mom/grandma, can't remember, was coming back. She'd gone since the morning and it was the middle of the night. He couldn't even tell me where he was beyond his state. The people who called in were disproportionately poor, rural, in the US. They generally did not have internet, so this was a main social connection. I'm sure many people had fun, but behind the scenes it was a horror show. You got desensitized to routine content but could never anticipate really standout acts of viciousness or desperation. I worked nights during school, ironically after being treated for violent trauma myself and hitting a dangerously level of poverty. It didn't pay well, but if you stayed, you got paid. I didn't realize the scale of how it affected me until I was away for a bit. We still had offshore people, in India, who moderated the heaviest bannable content, and I can't imagine what kind of monsters they imagine we are. Facebook/Instagram odd. Got a video in my rotation. 2 little girls sitting out in a grassy area. Don't really remember much, but they were definitely between 6 to 10. I don't think they were much older or much younger. I don't remember if you could hear a guy giving them directions on what to do to each other, or if it was just very obvious that they were receiving direction. Basically having them do feet stuff to each other, tickling, licking, etc. It was very subtle because I remember having to ask if I could mark it for child porn. We get docked points in our monthly score if we marked content incorrectly. It was obviously CP to me, and it was obvious it would lead up to more, but guidelines are very black and white and content has to meet very specific criteria. However, this video was trying to be passed off as silly kids just playing with each other. I'd how to explain it, it was just super creepy. I had one person say they were just being silly, but another supervisor sided with me and told her it was very obviously child porn. I ended up escalating the video for child porn. I don't know what happens after that since I think it goes to a company that deals with this content. Nothing explicitly happened in the video, but it was just so disturbing and made me wonder what situation these girls were in. Other than that, it was mostly people getting chopped up by cartels, prostitutes, guys getting fisted elbow deep, a guy chopping up his own dick, surgeons removing a giant dildo out of a guy's ass, people being dismembered after a car crash, guys killing each other, heads chopped off, more prostitutes, drugs, people trying to sell or buy exotic animals, more porn, girls calling each other whores, people torturing and or killing animals. I worked the Latin American market. I hear it was much more dull on the North American side of the office across the hall. None of that stuff fazed me except for when children or animals were involved. Or when a video went viral of a Colombian woman taking her son and jumping off a bridge with him in a murder-suicide. I couldn't stand to look at that one either. Not a mod, but when I was like 17, 18, a dude shot himself in a group video chat for no reason, and I was contacted by that dude's city's police department a couple days later. To this day I have no idea how they got my cell phone number or email address. There was no two-step verification in that website, there wasn't even forced signing up, you could just pick a random username and join a chat room without making any account. I was in TinyChat. It was a website where people could make video chat rooms with like up to 10 people streaming at a time. You could also have one-to-one private video chats, and it also had a chat box where hundreds of people could join. Anyways, I was in one of the more popular rooms one night, and for the first time ever I got to be in the streaming feed. Spaces were usually always occupied, and that night there was this dude, couldn't have been older than 20, that was tripping balls on sherm, marijuana laced with PCP, and he was talking about how his father beat him up and kicked him out of the house for sleeping with his stepsister, that he says he was in love with before their parents married. What was weird is that this dude was first laughing about it, and then out of nowhere when we were talking about something else, I think it was making fun of Ludacris for dropping 16 on Justin Bieber's Baby, he started screaming and crying and we were like, "Brew WTF, and you could mute the sound of anybody so that you wouldn't hear it yourself." So we agreed to all mute his sound but leave his video because it was interesting seeing the dude go apeshit with no sound. After like 10 minutes he caught on to the fact that we muted him and wrote on a piece of paper, "Watch this," and he showed us a gun. I remember a girl was juggling some tennis balls too, but I digress. After flailing the gun around and flipping it in reverse it like in a cowboy movie, he put that shit in his mouth and shoot himself. By then I had unmuted him so I got to hear the shot. Then he disappeared from the frame and you could only see his chair when he fell from the shot, and I swear to God I could slightly hear him gurgling on his blood until he wasn't doing it anymore, which I assume meant he was dead. Somebody from the room reported the chat room to the admins and they ended the stream and deleted the room a few minutes later. Then I got a call from the police in some bumfuck town in Michigan asking if I had been in the video chat when this dude killed himself. They said, "We know, the company sent us a video, we just want you to tell us what happened," and I did. Then they thanked me for my cooperation and never contacted me again. Oh wow, a thread tailor-made for me. I spent the last 2 years working in content moderation and I'd say I handle it well, though my short-term memory is really bad now and I'm led to believe that is a symptom of PTSD, but I'm not gonna get into that. Anyway, to answer your question, I'd say the jobs that stuck with me the most were ones that showed animal torture and then stayed on the animal. For instance, there is one video out there of this lady just casually chopping the leg of this dog off and toss it into a stew or something. But the video stays focused on this poor dog trying to come to grips with the fact it's missing its leg, trying to step on it but it can't. Then it just kinda lays down and cries, licking at the wound. That one is rough. The other one that comes to mind was a video of this guy being dismembered, limb by limb. Once his last leg was taken off they proceeded to beat his skull in with his own severed leg. He stopped wailing after a while but he was whimpering throughout the whole thing. Those two stuck out to me, but there was a deluge of content of all varieties, memes and jokes, and videos of all kinds day after day. I'd say 90% of the day you wouldn't see anything worse than you would scrolling the front page of Reddit. But every once in a while something happens in the world and every single person seems to have to be the one to put it up again and again. Like the Christchurch shooting, I watched that video probably 100 times. I've seen it to do music, I've seen it with no Russian, I've seen it with a laugh track, I've seen it with a victory royale slapped on it. I've seen it all, and no, you aren't creative for putting it up there. Edit. Just to answer some really common questions. Can't mention who I work for due to NDA. But I'm sure you can guess. We had to watch the first 15 seconds no matter what. However, certain videos we would be told to continue watching for up to 10 minutes. People can, and do, just dip out if they already know what the video is because it was trending. For instance, Christchurch. After a while we would see his face, the church, the manifesto, etc., and it was just an instant delete. We do not forward to law enforcement unless it was live video or child pornography. Pay is actually really good, more than double the state minimum with differentials based on when your shift is. We aren't being paid scraps for this. I'll answer any other common questions I see. Throw away because my main is too closely tied to other Earl stuff. There's a lot. I worked in the field for a year and a half, and came out of it different than I went in. Places like that rot your soul, man. You see the worst of humanity in places like that. I know what it sounds like when a man splits in two. I know the thud and crunch of a jumper as they hit the ground. I know how people scream when they're inside a tire fire. The worst thing though, I was a SME and one of the people working just got up and ran sobbing. Didn't go and turn off her computer, so I had to finish the job. It sticks with me. A video of a grown man holding down a toddler and raping them. I left that place almost a year ago. Need therapy and my anxiety is worse. I got diagnosed with PTSD. It's awful that these companies chew people up and spit them out broken. They don't care. More desperate people in need of healthcare and 15 an hour will come. I needed to get that out. Thank you. Worked for a very large social media company as a content moderator. There are a few that stuck with me. A video of the Yulin? Somewhere in China, dog meat festival, and the video depicted dogs being tortured to death. Boiling alive, blowtorch to the body, beat with a baseball bat while hung from a rope. The worst part was probably the audio. I didn't know dogs could scream, but when they're boiled alive, it's a sound you don't forget. A fully grown man sticking his genitals into a baby that couldn't have been more than 6 months old. Thank God it was only a picture, but it made me sick. 3. Crushing videos. I only saw a few, but it always broke my heart to see the vile animal abuse. For those of you lucky enough to have avoided it, it's pornographic videos where women in high heels crush kittens and other small animals to death. There was plenty more, but animal abuse was most definitely my soft spot, so those were the ones that stuck with me most. There was plenty of gore, suicide/self-harm, and other traumatic stuff, but luckily I was able to avoid it for the most part due to my specific circumstances. But some of the people around me no doubt had terrible mental issues arise from doing the job. It would not surprise me in the least to hear anyone having PTSD from that job. Most of the day wasn't as bad as you would imagine. It takes a certain type of person to survive there long term, and luckily I was prepared, but not everyone was so lucky. From what I saw, the average person lasted about 6 months. Not sure if it counts, but I was a mod for a subreddit related to true crime. We got a report about a guy asking really off questions. He was basically asking hypotheticals about what kinds of clues detectives would look for if his wife was murdered. He was saying that she ran on a trail that was dangerous, and if something happened to her, he would want to help with the investigation. Someone told him it seemed like he was planning to murder his wife and was soliciting advice to help cover his tracks. As soon as they said that, he deleted all of his posts and account. We sent the reports up the chain, and I believe the super admins may have contacted the police. I never heard any follow-ups, so I'm not sure if it was a bad joke or what. It was really unsettling though. I've worked for many a YouTube channel. The blacklists last for miles. Racial slurs everywhere, creepy shit about literally any female on screen. Never underestimate how moderated a large channel's comments are. Sometimes it's someone's whole day. One thing that stuck in my brain was one account that was just like pure vitriol. "You guys are a disgrace, you don't deserve to live, kill yourselves," and the like. Nothing particularly specific, but just hateful. So before banning this account from commenting, I decided to click on it. It's a girl, had to be like 13 to 14, and severely mentally disabled. I couldn't stop thinking about what this girl had been through to make her so angry, and that she could only express it online. I'll never forget that shit, man. How many other shitty YouTube commenters are just like bullied or even abused kids with nowhere else to lash out? Edit. Okay, so a couple people have been like, "Ooh, how do I get that job?" And trust me, that's by far the worst job I've ever had. For me, it was part of being a PA. I literally buttered some asshole's bagel for him. And drove around picking up lunch orders and getting yelled at when it came back cold cause they sent me to some craft brewery a half hour away. If you want entry-level employment, go ahead on entertainmentcareers.com or whatever, but trust me when I say you probably want to go a different direction. Using a new account so I won't be identified. I'm not sure if this counts as social media, but I used to work as a moderator for a forum that was quite large, over 1 million registered accounts. It's really amazing what a bunch of teenagers will do, usually for attention. A popular way to leave the site forever was to get banned via posting porn, so there were loads of reports for that. One particularly memorable case was a popular user created an alt and posted porn as a joke, and we banned both the alt and his main. We had one guy who spent like an hour creating posts/threads over and over. There were apparently a few hundred of them. I didn't witness it, but there were a fuck ton of reports on that one and the admins had to take care of it. One user leaked the IP address and subsequently the location of another user, against the rules. When other users, not mods, told him this, he decided to do the most mature thing possible. Start DMing the user, whose IP was leaked, and tried to make several threats. Then when us mods started to deal with it, he made a new account asking us to not ban him because it would prevent him from getting into law school in the future. Same user as previous. About 3 months later this user makes another account and DMs me with a list of posts/threads to take down, saying I don't want these to show up whenever I Google his username. Had another guy try to one-up the second guy on this list and did the same thing, except the posts were all animal abuse. Had another guy post a beheading video. One guy decided to go on to every recent post/thread and spam invite links to his Discord server and then delete his account. The moderation system we worked with had some weird problem where you couldn't ban a user. Banning them deleted their comments, if they deleted their account, so we had to go find them all. A popular user was banned, and so we spent the next 2 weeks banning troll/alt accounts that kept posting explicit comments and doxing of the mod team. Sometime after previous post happened, some of the users decided they would go and make their own website/forum. Spammed the links on our forum. It went nowhere. Had a spell of about a month where a bunch of bots from some black marketing game currency site decided to spam links/posts. Admins had to create a bunch of banned phrases on the site. Code didn't work properly and now there's a bunch of innocent stuff that gets censored. Different spell similar situation where this time it was porn/campsite bots that spammed. Someone for some reason made downvote bots. You could receive warnings for breaking the rules. We kept a list of people who were warned. Xmod who got fired decided to leak it. For about a month there were several boosters exposed accounts that would go around exposing people who were caught boosting.
Thanks for watching. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe for more videos.